Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed. I'm your host, Jason Shea. Today we're diving into a very interesting conversation, which is an intersection of live entertainment and tabletop game design. We're joined by Jaime, principal designer for Monopoly Go and the founder of Giant Fox Studio, and Brian, host for BATSU, a hilarious Japanese-American fused game show. Today's interview will be walking through the journey of transforming a high-action live experience into a party card games, from early development to challenges they face, and updating the game's visual and syncing it back to the live stage experience. So thank you so much for both of you for being on our podcast today. So first of all, Jaime, can you share on how you even got involved with the BATSU show, and how do you turn the show into a card games?
Yeah, for sure. So BATSU is a live show in New York and Chicago. They've also had shows in London, different festivals around the world. And I saw it back in 2012 in New York City while I was living there. After the show, the cast is all very approachable. They're all like, come on up, say hi to us. So I went on up there, told them I'm a game designer, and they immediately were like, I want to be in a video game. So we actually started off with a mobile game version of BATSU.
Okay.
Way back, like over a decade, 13 years ago at this point.
I see.
And we tried it out. It worked okay. It was kind of like Jackbox games sort of style, where there's a little challenge, everybody does their thing. And, at the mobile platform, though, you're not in person with each other. It was like I record my little thing that I'm doing and then send it off. And the comedy of BATSU is way more enjoyable when you're in person, because if people aren't familiar with the term, BATSU means punishment and penalty in Japanese. So during the live show, these comedy warriors get punished if they aren't funny. It's funny for the audience either way, but if you're not in person and you don't get to see the actually reaction of that person getting punished in person, it's just, it doesn't hit the same, So years later, during the pandemic, when the BATSU show had to temporarily shut down, we kind of came back around to the idea of, hey, board games are picking up. People are all in their living rooms. Maybe we convert it over to a card game version of it. And I think I still have the little original prototype of it. Was this little deck of cards, just paper prototyped it, cut it out and everything. Looks very different than it does today. But yeah, we kind of started with that and went from there.
I see. And Brian, can you also kind of elaborate on exactly like the kind of the experience that the show is trying to provide to the live audiences?
So BATSU is a live dinner show in Chicago and in New York City, where audiences can come, eat some sushi, enjoy some sake, and while they're enjoying their meal, they watch some comedians go through challenges. If those comedians don't make the audience laugh, or if they fail a challenge, they have to get a BATSU. They have to get punished. Punishments range from physically painful punishments, like getting shot with a paintball marker close range, to hand and mouse traps, to a shock collar on the neck. And then we do have some volunteer opportunities as well, which aren't physical punishments. They're more embarrassing punishments. You'll have to come to the show to check those out. One thing that is super interesting to me is that we have all of these physical elements in the show. We can't fit a paintball marker or an electric shock into our card game box.
For sure.
So we had to do a lot of problem solving from the get-go of how do we make this entertaining? How do we bring that same quality that we bring to the show to the card game form.
I see. How long is the typical show?
The experience starts at 7 o'clock. The game show portion will start around 7:30, and then because it is improv based, it is a little bit fluctuating in terms of the end time. But you'll be out probably around from 7 to 9 or so.
I see. And what was it like for you to see your live show get translated into like mobile games and card games format?
Oh my goodness, so exciting. I have to say that if it weren't for Giant Fox and Studios and Jamie, I don't know if we would have been able to survive the pandemic. Those 2 years of us going dark were very difficult for us. And yeah, it gave us a lot of hope as well that, whenever we do reopen again during that time period, that people are still interested in our product. So it was really cool to see once we did the Kickstarter campaign for the original card game during the pandemic, that there were people interested. And then we
Okay.
started getting some more interest for just the card game and people not
Oh,
knowing about the show.
I see.
So
Okay.
my favorite thing has been this synergy of the show promoting the card game and
Mm.
now the card game at different conventions and different game shops, they promote the show. Great
Mhm.
synergy there.
Yeah, and I guess I have a question for you, Jamie. Is like when you first designed the game, how do you maintain some of the humor and the energy of the improv version of the show into the game design?
Yeah, great question. We've went through a lot of different iterations of it to kind of land where we are today. Where we are now is kind of Cards Against Humanity style. There's a judge each round, but instead of picking a winner, they're going to pick a loser. That loser is going to get
O-
BATSU.
Okay,
I like to say
okay.
you don't have to be the best. It's okay to be mid. It's okay to be average. Just
Uh-huh.
don't be the worst. Eyes punishments kick in.
I see.
So I went to a bunch of the live shows. I saw it a few different times. I even took one of the improv classes that the
Oh, you
founders
did?
are running.
Oh,
So
wow.
I
Okay.
I learned a lot about the games, they play on the show in their free time. We had a lot of conversations of like, okay, well, how does this mini game feel? How would we translate our little schoolyard rap game from the live show into the card game version of it?
Yeah.
A lot of people feel, a little put off by the word improv, I find, when they're looking at a
Oh.
card game.
Mm.
D&D players, tabletop players, they're more okay with breaking out of their shell. But a parent buying something for their kid, or even college kids looking for a game for, their parties, improv, the theater kids will like it, but else it's a little off-putting. They might not feel like they're good about at it. They might feel that they're, a little scared about it. So we've now kind of pivoted to be more of like silly challenges, ridiculous things to do. So not
Mhm.
using the word improv and
Yeah.
kind of putting it, through that lens of making it more casual, more approachable. It's not like you have to come up with the most difficult phrases and think really deeply about this storyline. It's okay to
Sure.
just be like a little, just silly little lines here and there. We've actually put
Yeah.
bad jokes on the cards to make people feel better about the jokes they can do.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. And I know you have tons of experience in mobile game design as well, being part of the project for Monopoly Go, which is a hugely
May have
successful
heard.
game as well.
Yes.
How does that experience influence the way you're designing the physical version?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm on the UX design side of the design team over here, and really focus on designing things in a user-centric way, understanding who our players are, what are their motivations, not breaking them down by a demographic, but like what actually gets them to come back. Are they achievers that want to, check off all those boxes, finish up all their quests? Are
Yeah.
they more socializers that want to, connect with people instead? Thinking through, who are the personas that go see a BATSU show, and then the personas of who plays Cards Against Humanity, and trying to
Mm.
find a little bit of that overlap there,
I
and
see.
finding the fun that they both enjoy.
I see. Was there any early design decision you have to kind of like get rid of once like doing play testing with actual player?
Yeah, some of the punishments were too much.
Too
We
much.
had to, tone it down a little bit,
I
different
see.
phrasings of things, making it more inclusive
I
for
see.
different types of audiences. People who are disabled, they might not be able to be as physical. So we tried to really make all the cards work, even if you're in a wheelchair. So
Oh,
really adjusting the challenges, the punishments, everything in the game to work with the audience that will actually play it.
got it. What were some of the early challenges when you start working on this product
Ooh.
initially?
Let's see, just finding, I think, the different mini games that worked for the group sizes. Some of them were really good for like, just a couple players. Some were a lot better when you had a bunch of players. And kind of adjusting it to be like that nice party game, 4 to 6 players, most likely. We also have had some people wanting to play 2-player version of the game. And, a game like Cards Against Humanity, typically you need that judge player.
Yeah.
So we recently added in our 2-player rules for you just try to get the other person to laugh. You try to do something so ridiculous that you
okay.
break the other person. So it's whoever can be more serious, kind of silent library sort of thing.
I see. That's an interesting kind of a twist on the
Yeah.
game mechanism itself. And I guess I have a question for you, Brian. It's like how hands-on were you and the cast in like shaping and designing some of the game content alongside with Jamie's team?
Yeah. So of course, as Jamie mentioned, Jamie came to our show a lot of times, and we started communicating with Jamie and the team. And I believe that for me, as a half Japanese individual who grew up in Japan and experienced a lot of Japanese game shows and culture, it was really important for me personally to create an authentic Japanese game show experience for the card game. And so through communication and through drafts and such, we would always check in and say, is this authentic when it comes to the show? Is this authentic when it comes to Japanese culture or Japanese game shows? And so that's how I feel like we contributed in terms of making it authentic to those categories and those cultures.
I wrote a bunch of the little Japanese jokes kind of along, like in the artwork, there's, kind of different phrases and puns and things. And I don't really know what they say, but I know that they're funny because Brian wrote them.
Yeah. Well, our updated, newer version of the game, our 2.0 version, has a lot more manga style drawings and such.
Oh, okay.
So as we got there we go.
Oh, yeah, this is the new version. Yeah.
It's the bento box there. There's certain things in Japanese manga or animation where, for example, 3 blue lines means someone's like really sad or like upset, like little sweat drops are like someone's stressed out or, so I was like, when we were getting these drafts of the drawings for the cards, I'm like, if we just add these details, this will make it so much more.
I think we lost you for a minute, Brian. So I think
no.
he will come and rejoin.
Yeah, I can
So-
kind of show you though, like, I think like this card where someone has to, as a punishment, stand up like a tree and wait until they get a
Oh,
hug.
okay.
There's a little Japanese text there. And, if you don't know Japanese, I think it says like guys, they just kind of left him there. So just like subtle little things like that in the background. I'm not sure what this one says, where you have to put ice in your pants, but
I say samui, it means cold in Japanese.
oh, okay. See, exactly. It's just cold.
Yeah.
There's just silly little things like that around. Yeah. So,
And while you have the game, can you also explain the game rule like really quick?
yeah, for sure. Each round starts with the judge drawing a challenge card. So the challenges are all sorts of different things. Cards Against Humanity is always kind of fill in the blank. So we have the rules kind of split up on the different challenge cards.
Okay.
So each one is very different from the others. For example, you might be doing something a little bit more physical. Props here It
Yeah.
says to draw a place card and then act as props in that place. Instead of the actors of like a
Oh,
scene, the
okay.
players are the props. So we have people, places, or things. So I'm going to draw a place card. And so it's a skyscraper. So then the players would each try to be a prop that would be in like a skyscraper scene. They might try to be a fax machine. They might try to be a laptop or like a water cooler,
I see.
doing silly little things you might see in an office in a skyscraper. And then the judge picks not who did the best, but who did the worst at it. It's like,
Mhm.
that was not a very convincing chair you did
Yeah.
there. So then that player would have to grab a BATSU card, which could be, dance for a minute with no music and just kind of like awkwardly doing it, or act like a dog and beg for some pets, things like that.
I
Not like
see.
the paintball guns and tasers they do on the live show. It's kind of a little
Yeah.
bit more mild, sometimes physical, sometimes just embarrassing things. Yeah.
I see. And how does the game end?
Yeah, so whoever got the BATSU last round is now the judge, and you play however many turns as there are players. There's like
Okay.
a set amount of turns, and you kind of just keep switching off the judge. At the end, it's whoever has the most BATSUs lost, and everybody else won.
Okay. Got it. That's interesting. And what is the recommended amount of player to participate?
I'd say like 4 or 5 is ideal, but we can play, we just added those 2-player rules and we've done up to 8 people. And even we've done like kind of team based after that, if there's more players too.
How do you balance some of the the overall game and some of the gameplay that you just show us with still being that aligned with the live version? And what are some of the feedback you have been getting for the people that actually went to a live show and also get the games?
The live show has a bunch of the different mini games, and quite a few of them in the board game are very inspired by them. They're pretty one-to-one of like the exact rules they'd play on their improv show converted really well to the card game. So people who have seen the show kind of recognize like, oh, it's always fun to now, I've seen it on the live show. I could go home and play it with my kids, the same exact thing. And the other side of it too is like the visual side and kind of the branding of it in a visual way. So we have like the original box here
Yeah.
is very much one-to-one to the like BATSU live show branding. Pretty minimal, just kind of the black, white, red sort of colors. And of course, Mr. Chicken here, one of the characters, he throws eggs at the contestants. But this didn't really pop well on store shelves. It was a little kind of simple compared to some of the other games in the party genre. There are games like Cards Against Humanity, and it doesn't do terrible. It's just could be more, could be calling more attention to it. So we worked with them a lot to kind of identify what we could play with, how far we could go, and we were able to go pretty far away and make it this sort of new manga city pop, but still our own branding style.
Yeah, I like the new design a lot better. It's a lot more catchy. It kind of pop up on the shelf a lot more than the older design. It's kind of hard to know exactly what they are looking at.
Yeah, you don't get the vibe of the game from just this. Like if you didn't know the show, you'd have no idea what this is. While this is like, energy, something fun, silly card game is like coming across right away. Yeah.
For sure. I think the new design is actually much better than the original one.
Yeah. So getting there took a bit though, because like we were very much like, no, this is the brand. We can't stray too far away from that. But after, kind of some iterations, we've landed on the game having its own kind of identity. And even in the live show now, they're starting to integrate this new style into some of their posters. And the game is kind of informing the live show a bit more too. So there's this synergy back and forth, like Brian was mentioning. I think for another big aspect of the live show is this like punishment, right? And they're very forward with like, hey, you're going to watch actors get punished. And people sign up to be in the audience, and some people sign up to actually be a volunteer on the stage. But when you're actually playing the game, it's like a different feeling because now you're the one at risk of the punishment,
Yeah.
It's not like you're watching somebody and enjoying, that comedy. Now it's you're experiencing it. So the word punishment also has been a little bit off-putting for some users, and we've been playing around with like different kind of taglines, focusing more on the party aspects, focusing more on the silly challenges, and still talking about the punishments or penalties. Yeah, there's a few other words we've started using instead of punishment for it. Consequences, things to kind of just help with that as soon as you read it, expectation for what it is. Getting people to not feel like, oh, I don't know if I want to play that because it seems scary, Showing them that it's okay, it's mild, it's nothing too bad. You just stand up and look like a tree for a bit. It's nothing too bad.
It's kind of like the balance, but if there's no punishment, you kind of lose the essence of the game also.
Exactly. Yeah, it's essential to the brand, but also slightly scary for some users. Some people are like, sign me up, let's go. But others, if we want to go more mass market, more casual, we have to make it approachable for them. We also have a rule of like a house rule, like a backup punishment. If people don't want to do what's on the card, they can just whatever they've decided at the beginning of the. Usually, it's take a shot. But
Has become a drinking game. Okay.
we definitely have drinking game rules here. One of the expansion packs is the thirsty pack here. All sorts of silly little drinking inspired challenges and punishments.
I see. Well, Brian, thank you for joining us back on the stream here. And I have a follow-up question for you because actually my wife is Japanese and I used to live in Japan for 5 years. I don't know if Jamie mentioned that to you already, but I'm kind of familiar with the Japanese culture as well. I think one of the struggle is like I don't know if you also experience that when you're running the show. Like, how do you translate some of the Japanese humor for the American audience, which they have no clue what's going on sometimes?
Yeah. So I think the aspect of the Japanese culture that we've been working with is that it's the punishment aspect, it's the BATSU aspect. A lot of the humor, like the quick-wittedness or the verbal humor is more American style, short form improv. So I think the beautiful thing about BATSU game in general is that physical punishment, when it's not too bad, is kind of universally funny. Anyone will kind of chuckle when they see somebody slip on a banana peel and not get seriously injured, So it's kind of that aspect of our comedians getting punished that feels like the Japanese culture, Japanese aspect of our show.
I see. Okay. Thank you for sharing that piece of insight as well. Any interesting story that you would like to share with the audience since you have been running the show for so long? Any interesting happening that happened during the improv?
I mean, there's so many. In New York City alone, we've done 2,600 shows. So many iterations of crazy stories I could think of. A fun, positive one recently was that we had Neil Patrick Harris, the actor and comedian. He celebrated his 50th birthday at our show, and we were able to celebrate it at midnight, like when he became 50. That was a great, memorable moment, and he was such a class act, and he had to do the body sushi punishment.
Can you explain the body sushi punishment for the listener that doesn't know what it is?
Yeah, it's basically we have a body sushi model come out, and they lay down on a bench, but it's not the typical body sushi model that you might be envisioning or fantasizing about. It would be someone a lot hairier and a bit larger than your typical body sushi model. And yeah, we do a whole demonstration with sauce and sushi rolls, and then we do it right in the belly button as well. The sauce goes in the belly button, and we do an extra little bonus challenge for them to get a free pitcher of beer. Yeah, it's a crazy punishment.
I see. That sounds really fun. So, okay, thank you so much for sharing that piece of story.
Yeah.
So, as well, wrapping up, the final question I have for you is actually for Jamie. Is if you have to share one piece of advice with someone that's getting started within the toys and game industry as a whole, what would that be?
Yeah, just make stuff, try it, make a bunch of different things. I've worked on over 200 different games at this point. Some of them didn't make it very far. Some of them ended up making $5 billion in 2 years. So, wide range of things, but, you got to keep trying with stuff. Make little paper prototypes. You see a fun show, talk to the cast afterwards and see if you can make something together. Doesn't hurt to try and never know where it'll go from there.
I see. Okay. Thank you for that piece of advice. And where can our audience find you and your company online?
Yeah, if you want to check out the card game, it's getbatsu.com. You can order copies of it right then. And then we have a upcoming Kickstarter for the new art version, which will be BATSUkickstarter.com. So those are the two for BATSU. And then for my video game sides and, Giant Fox, it would be giantfoxstudios.com.
Okay. And Brian, for people who want to learn more about the show, where can people find more about the show?
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at BATSU Live, or you can just Google BATSU, and you can check out our show in New York City, Tuesdays through Saturdays. We do 7 shows a week. And then in Chicago, we are in Old Town at Kamehachi, 3 shows a week, Thursdays through Saturday.
I see. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. We'll make sure we put that in the show note. And for our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We hope you have enjoyed today's conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you have heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support and would love it if you can leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resources, tips, and the latest update within the toys and game industry, visit our website at toy-launch.com. Join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag ToyBusinessUnboxed. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestions for future episodes. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joys to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.